because I've had to put 2 body harnesses in one car in the span of 1 week because of squirrels.
Oh.
And it happened a third time, but his insurance company was going to drop him.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Jada Mechanic Podcast. I'm speaking with a fellow Canadian. Former guest, Mr. Christopher Johnson, is back. He kind of reached out to me last week. He said, it's been almost a year since I was on, did my first episode with you. Kind of wanted to fill you in on things that have developed. So you said you had a lady come in with a 2018 Mazda 3 with a little bit of gear wine.
Yeah, I think she's complained of it before, so just had to drive it out. And yeah, you got the typical gear whine in first gear. You throttle the throttle, you can hear it come and go, come and go. I was like, oh yes. So she needs a transmission, so we'll have to quote that out on Tuesday when all the wrecking yards are open, and give her some options. And
And you think she'll be fine if she gets a used one?
she probably will be fine. Fine, yeah. Never had a problem. We've had some of these cars with 500,000 kilometers or more, and they're fine. This is either a one-off, or she might have done. I don't know how she drives it. I don't know.
You can't say anymore, right? Like it used to be, like a young kid comes in with a stick shift and it's like, oh yeah, I know it's smoke clutch, and but that's the thing. Sometimes when the clutch is still good, but it's got gear wine, you wonder.
Yeah,
it's probably like you were saying, she might have been just neglected the fluid. It's probably never been done. So
no, I don't think it has, and we didn't feel like reminding her of the last 18 times that we've told her she needed training fluid change. But
yeah, 230,000 kilometers on it, you said. So I mean, that's it's over the interval.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then you said you had your one advisor in 02 Civic. You had to fix his brake line. So
yeah, he was off yesterday, then came in off the highway, said, she got a little soft by the end of the off ramp there. Brought her in and just misting it on one of the lines. I mean, it's an 02 Civic, and it's astounding that it still exists, but it just barely exists.
Yeah. Emotional attachment.
Just hold on to life.
Yeah. We get a lot of those lately. We've had a few of them in the last little bit. Not that just that Civic, but customers with emotional attachments to cars, man. It's like, I don't, it's one thing when you can kind of tell. It's like, okay, they're on limited funds. That's right. They're limping this thing along. But then other people, it's just like, we put a transmission in an 04 Trailblazer 2 weeks ago, and it was high mileage. It's rotten. And it was like, why? Let it go. Like, it's not his only truck. Like, he's got another vehicle. It's an older couple. It's just to kind of use it as their pick around junker, junk jobs, lend it to people, that kind of thing. And it's like, just flog it, get rid of it. Like, so, I mean, we put a used tranny in it, and we surpass the value of the vehicle for sure.
Probably by tenfold.
But. Yeah. Right. So, and it's same thing. Put the used tranny in it. You pull the pan off. It's right full of metal, and it's just like, document everything. Give the guy the option. Like, what do you want to do here? Like, for the little bit I'll use it. I might as well put it in. It's like, all because this one the transmission lines have been leaking, and we recommended them like 9 months ago, and he hemmed and hawed and decided he wasn't gonna. So he went home and parked it, and then I guess he forgot that they were leaking or something. He started using it again, and then he comes in. It's like, oh, I got nothing after third gear. It's like, so I kind of did a temporary patch on the line, and then like filled it and drove it, and it was same thing. As soon as it would get warm, it would not shift past third. It's like, well, she's done. So, but it's been. So you said it's kind of been a good year since we talked.
It has been since we talked last. You gave me a lot to think of, like stuff a couple of things I'd never pondered before, especially like my end game, or say end game, but what I'll do.
Strategy.
Exit strategy. That's the phrase there.
Yeah.
But I started to think about that, and like then actually got hard and hard. Like, what, being a foreman and a parent, I'm teaching constantly. I think that's probably a role I'd probably transition to once I can't turn a wrench anymore, or I can't.
Yeah.
And of course, nowadays I've got some arthritis is starting to
Yeah.
creep in
Yeah.
slowly. Especially I noticed in my hands trying to get an impact gun or open up the childproof doors at the house.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I've
do you find yourself dropping stuff a lot?
not that often. No, I just
Yeah.
my knees have been getting pretty crunchy too, so I've
Yeah.
transitioned to the knee pads, which I probably should have done
Yeah.
a long time ago. If you haven't done it before, for the love of Christ, get get some good knee pads, either volleyball
Yeah. Yeah.
or wrestling knee pads, the ones that
Yeah.
slip on under your yes.
Hmm.
Anyone
I
listening, just do it.
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember being, I don't know, 21, and an old shop owner at the time that I worked for him. He used to put them on for the little bit they come out in the shop he'd do a tire repair once in a while if he was backed up. We'd do an oil change, and he'd put them on, and it was always like over top of his pants, right? And then everybody'd laugh and make little jokes and all that kind of stuff. My knees have been gotten really bad in the last 4 months, last 6 months really, and I got a set of orthotics, and that's I thought would help, but it doesn't. So I took the orthotics out because it's like, I work the Monday to Thursday thing, and then Friday my knees are killing me. And then as I take those 3 days off, Saturday they start to feel a little bit better. Sunday they feel good, better. And then Monday morning when I first go to work, they don't feel too bad. And then
Mhm.
by Monday night, your feet are you get the plantar fasciitis thing happening again, and so I get it when I sleep. Leg pain's really bad, and then once I sit down, like when we were talking, I went and had lunch yesterday. Sat down for like an hour, had lunch. Go to stand up and walk out. It's like people are looking at me like I'm hobbling.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, I've got gray in my beard, but I mean I'm not 50 yet. Like I'm still got 2 years to go to get to 50. So it's a tough one. It's a toll on you for sure. The dropping thing is really frequent lately. I noticed that I'll go to pick something up, and then it's like you said, you get, your fingers don't want to work. And look, I dropped a can of Coke, dropped,
Yeah.
dropped the ratchet again, dropped the screwdriver, dropped the socket. Like it's just, and I know where it is. It's all impingement in my shoulders, and it's causing,
Yeah.
issues with my fingers and being able to feel sometimes. So the strength is still there. Like I can still, but it's just
Well,
it's the weirdest thing. So it
yeah, I've been
sucks.
getting the pain mostly in the knuckles, and they're like
Yeah.
kind of freeze up
Hmm.
and get like a stinging pain right through them.
Yeah. What really helped for me is I went to a lower powered impact gun. Instead of using the big half-inch drive DeWalt, the maximum one they have, I stepped down to that medium duty one. And, because, and it's remarkable. You can do a lot with that little gun. Like you take all your tires off, most of your suspension bolts will come out with it. Because that big DeWalt just so heavy, right? It hammers. And then the young kid that we have, he went and bought one of those Snap-on, the half-inch air that everybody loves. I can't remember the number on it,
I don't know.
but it's powerful, right? Loves it. It's loud. I can remember it. I have two of them, but I'm just laughing at him because I'm like, yeah, you're not listening now, right? But you will in 10 years of using that thing because you're going to have that pain again. So, and I find the worst thing is a hammer. If I have to pound a wheel bearing out or something like that, anything that I'm striking metal on metal in my hand, the next day my hands are
Yeah.
shot. They're junk. So I bought one of those fancy wheel bearing pullers. And then I've got the hub shocker as well. So
Yeah.
just to try and, for the little bit that I do it, anything that I can help will save it because, I want to fish when I'm not working. I don't want to sit. And you need to use quite a bit of your elbow and your shoulder and your hands to
Mm-hmm.
fish. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But so you kind of were talking, you're thinking teaching maybe.
I think that's a role I could transition to, like ideally, um, probably at the trade school
Mm-hmm.
level. But that would be, they do enjoy teaching and instructing our
Yeah.
other techs and the apprentices, and guiding them through. And I
Yeah.
think that would be the next step at
Yeah.
that portion of my life.
You'd be good at it too. You've got the right kind of attitude and the right personality. You're not too, me, I could teach them, but it's like my sometimes my candor doesn't come
Yeah.
across properly. I can get a little short on fuse on some of them with frustration. So whereas you're
Yeah.
much more laid back, but it's funny you mentioned that we had there's an upcoming guest. We're trying to still schedule it. and he's a tech that taught the did some of the apprenticeship training at down here at Loyalist College in Belleville.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know what the whole story is yet. He's a friend of my brother than not better acquaintance with my brother. And now he's gone back to wrenching, but I think he's gone back to wrenching for like heavy truck instead of uh, automotive. So, but which I mean, is funny. Normally, I would go the other way. I'd want to get off the heavy stuff when I was getting older, but I think he was fed up with the flat rate thing too.
Oh yeah, that can
Yeah,
be problematic.
yeah, he's bounced around, I guess, from quite a bit of dealerships, and and that's the thing. In Belleville, there's lots of opportunities to work, same as where I am. It's just that the culture thing is the hard thing to find.
Yeah, sometimes the opportunity is there because it's
Yeah,
it's got the revolving door
yeah,
syndrome there.
yeah. Like Indeed in my area, every place, it's some of the ads have been up there like 4 months, still trying to fill a spot.
Yeah,
And then that's just an Indeed. You talk to any one of our tool truck drivers around, we've got 3 of them that come to our shop, probably the same where you are.
yeah,
Any one of them, they could tell you could go to any shop that they go to and hit them with a resume, and they'd hire somebody. Like they need the people that bad.
yeah,
So
yeah. Some of the shops around here are like that, but they at least um, our tool truck guys will tell you there's a reason they're hiring.
mhm,
You don't want to go there.
yeah.
You don't you don't want to have to deal with the business coming from there either. Sometimes. So,
Yeah, it's a funny, like they don't get enough credit. The tool truck drivers. I was like the one post that came up last week where somebody in the changing industry area said, "Well, our tool truck's part of the problem." Um, and they're not wrong in some ways in the way they do business, but they're a very valuable asset for getting an inside perspective on what some shops are like, right? Because all 3 of mine, like they're great, and I work for a great owner, but they all know exactly like how that little bit when you come out and you interact with them for 10 minutes on a tool truck, they kind of get a real good vibe about what the place is like to work. That post was funny. Our tool truck's part of the problem. um, it's the tooling cost is the problem, right? It doesn't matter,
yeah,
like going back to like you and I were saying, those same wrench sets that we bought when we were starting out for 1999, they're now 79.99, 89.99. Like
yeah,
it's gone up now we're talking 1997 for me when I was buying them versus 2024. So of
yeah,
course these have gone up, but I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I don't think they're the problem. I mean, they offer a nice,
yeah,
2-year door solution, but
yeah,
do you blame Canadian Tire for the fact that you have 18 fishing rods and
yeah,
478 of the same jig one? Not no, they just
yeah,
provide it there. It's
yeah,
nice. Ooh, it's on sale. Then you get it.
yeah.
I mean, it's
I
your own self control in that matter.
I counted up last week fishing rods, and it's funny because you said 18, and it's closer to double that number. It's kind of a stupid sickness. I sent a picture actually Zeb Beard. I sent him a picture just out in the garage of the stuff laying there, and he was just like, "You have a problem." I do because and that's fun for me, right? And tools
Hmm.
now have gotten to be where, like, I go out to the truck and it's like they try to sell you something. It's like I already have that. I already have that. Like
Yeah,
I'm here to pay for my scan tool. I'm here to pay for my subscription this month.
yeah.
And that's it. I don't really need to buy sockets. I don't really need to buy hammers. I don't really need to buy screwdrivers, pry
Yeah.
bars. Like,
Yeah,
but it's
you've
yeah.
tooled up enough, and I've gotten the same point.
Mhm.
Now my new thing is all the diag tools and whatnot, which I
Yeah.
do probably buy more than I buy them in anticipation of needing them. Then I'll
Yeah.
never need it for 9 months. Then I start building my own because
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
because I
And
get
then
bored of that and can't afford all the other stuff. So I just start reverse engineering and
yeah.
building some of my own.
And it's funny, like, because same thing, like, I mean, I see these, little diagnostic stuff and tools that would really speed it up. But I mean, once you refine your process becomes so fast that you might just do it still with a DVOM or a test light. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And you still get to the result. Like the scan tool thing is the thing that I'm trying to pay off, and that's because I bought it before I came to this shop
Yeah.
because the shop that I was at wouldn't buy one.
Mm.
And it's not a terrible investment. People would be like, "There's no reason a technician should have to pay." I'm not disagreeing, but sometimes we wind up in places where you work for an owner that just like has expectations but doesn't understand that he needs to buy it, or she or
Yeah.
they. And for me, it just wasn't worth having the argument all the time about here, fix this 2022 Transit for a sliding door problem because it's in the fleet. And it's like, what do you want me to look
Yeah.
at exactly? Because like it's all got switches and sensors. And this old Solus that hasn't been updated since 2016 doesn't even recognize the car. So what do you want to do, right? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to. You can only fight with them so many times until it's like it's either okay. Well, I'm going to fight myself right out of this job, or I'm just going to make the commitment. And I make the commitment, and then
Yeah.
it served me well. It is handy even now at the shop because they have their own Zeus and they have an Autel. It's very convenient for me to just grab it right out of my cart, walk out to the car, and start. I don't have to. Is it plugged in? Who had it last? Where is it? Like
Yeah. Is it
that's
under a car up on a hoist or something like
yeah,
that, and
yeah,
being
yeah.
used? So I've
So
done that with a few tools. Like, of course, us living in the Rust Belt, I
yeah.
just went and bought a the mini ductor Venom.
Oh, cool.
That is, I bought that a couple of years ago, and that is, saved my bacon way more times and
Yeah.
saved me so much time than getting out the torches, cutting
Mhm.
them over. But with our
Yeah.
shop with scan tools, I made the shop buy a scan tool because we had so many used cars that are
Yeah.
off brand. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we need a scan tool, or we're shipping all this stuff out and losing money on it. So
My biggest tool expense now is lights, probably. Like, and we were joking about that. That's the worst thing they ever did with a light was put a magnet on it, right? Because you stick it on the car and then you forget it, and it leaves. And who hasn't probably lifted a hood at some point and found somebody else's work light under the
yep,
hood, right? Stuck to something long dead, but it's like, oh,
yep,
free light day. I stopped buying the expensive ones. I buy them when they go on sale for like 20, $25, Princess Auto, and buy 4 of them at a time. And if they drop one and you break it, you throw it in the trash, you take it back and get a warranty claim. Like they're
yep,
great that way. And because for me, I always have a headlight on, and then our shop's not real well lit. So I'm always still working with a work light as well. And I have the big DeWalt underhood light that I put on. So because I'm big on light, like I'm not as
hmm
young as I was. My eyesight was been corrected laserly, but it's still it's a dark shop. There's a lot of shadows. And that's been the biggest thing I tell everybody from a diagnostic standpoint or a quality work standpoint is make sure you can see what you're doing, and it's helped me immensely throughout my whole career is actually having I'm a stickler for that. If apprentice tries to show me something on a car and I walk over and he's working in the dark, I come unglued. Like just
Where's your flashlight? Where? Come
yeah,
on.
here's your flashlight. Come on. Like I
Where
can't.
is it? Where's the problem here? I don't see
And then
anything.
they get that look on their face like I don't remember where I left it. So then I go back to my cart and I grab one of my 7 or 8 and I come back over and it's like, here, let's see what we're working with.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always
Yeah,
got the pocket flashlight, and I wear a neck light. Then the neck
yeah,
lights I always put on my head so I can see
uh-huh.
everything. And I've got another set of neck lights, and
Yeah,
they're always on
same.
constant recirc charge. And
Yeah, it makes a big difference, though. It really does. Like the better you can see it, the faster you can do something. Is what I
yeah,
believe in. So, and the shop's going good. You said.
that it is. We've been refining our processes
Mm-hmm.
on stuff. We've come to a lot of good understandings, and at the start of this year, started a new pay plan for myself,
Mm-hmm.
which is up a couple bucks an hour,
Good.
plus getting some bonuses on shop production rates on the shop production and all the other employee production. So
Nice.
kind of more
Nice.
incentive for me to get them trained up, but
Yeah.
also uh, start shifting getting a lot of the customer work out of them and
Mm-hmm.
getting our apprentices to call more work and complete that work as well, which I've always been a big fan of. I've seen some shops where the
Yeah.
apprentices call a bunch of work, then it's just handed over to a tech. Well, what's in it for the apprentice to keep calling the work
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
keep in the industry? There's no job satisfaction in that or sense of
Yeah.
pride in their work.
Yeah. How do they learn it if they don't get to do it? And then the attitude is going to be, why am I finding this work if I don't even get the opportunity to learn? I mean,
Exactly.
we talk all the time about a DVI and then proper inspection, how vital it is. No doubt. no argument there. But if you've got your young people, finding this work and then they don't get to be involved in it at all, uh, you don't necessarily have to have them do the whole job. But I mean, it's at least, like we had one, our young person called it a CV axle boot was leaking on an older General Motors front wheel drive. The car came back. We didn't have the boot in stock because, and so, but they got to be involved in seeing how it was actually done because they'd never done a CV boot before, and it was a situation of like, it was, I don't know, Malibu or something like that, passenger side. One of the ones that bolts in the engine, like on the side of the engine block, like you're familiar with the Mazdas. So, I mean, to buy the whole axle is a little bit of money. And there was nothing, no clicking, no whatever. Just somebody had done a previous repair and stuck a hose clamp around the axle CV, and that's leaking grease. So, it was one of those ones where it's like, we can probably get by with just doing the boot. So we did it. So it'd been a long time since I'd just done a boot. And so it was kind of fun to share that with our co-op student on, hey, this is how we do these. And yeah, good repair for the customer. It worked well. Those ones that they bolt on the side of the engine like that big long, they're expensive. And I've fought some of them on Mazdas. I've fought them on Nissans. I've fought them on Kias, Hyundais. Like they suck sometimes to get them out of the bracket. Thank God now finally the aftermarket, some of them, they come with the bracket and the bearing and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, because
they can be like $600, $700, $800 almost sometimes, especially if you're getting a factory run. I love doing boots.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can kind of push the time up a little bit and go, hey, like, even if we take 2 hours to do this boot, you're still going to save a substantial amount of money versus buying a $1,000 axle. And it's, you're still into the labor to swap the damn thing out. So
because it's just been started leaking. I mean, unless it's been torn wide open and it's dry, then throw an axle in it. You don't know the condition, but we used to do those on our ice racers up in Minden when it's minus 40.
Yeah,
we got some clicking. Threw a new axle in it.
You had something interesting come in your shop this week, didn't you? It was like a race car.
Oh yeah, that was as an '88 Mustang, a dirt track car from our local track here in Brighton. He had just put the engine and harness in. It's an '88 Mustang body chassis.
Yeah,
but he had it was a Ranger drivetrain in it before. Then that engine didn't make enough RPM, so we found a Mazda 3 engine and harness, and he put that in. But I found out he snipped too many wires. It wouldn't start. He had the security light flashing, which means the PCM's half shut off, not communicating, and it wouldn't crank. So he had several issues. So I think he called around, and people were kind of laughing at him. They didn't want to touch it, and we're like, well, it's a Mazda 3 that won't start. That's all I care about. Don't give a shit what it's attached to.
So you could plug in right with the factory scan tool and it would talk and everything, or not like it would talk once it was restored, right? Is that how I understood?
It was. So that was pretty well the only issue with it, because he kept the entire harness, like engine harness, everything, even the door lock and actuators were stuck inside, plugged up and zip tied up. Like literally just pulled everything out. It's like, all right, dude. Yeah. I don't care that it's a stock car or a whatever. Yeah. It's an '09 Mazda 3. Bring it in.
Right on. Cool. So that's kind of hours. Fun. Yeah. It's kind of a fun change for what you're used to.
Oh, a little bit. It gives you. Oh, I was happy as a clam once I got to work done on that. It's like, oh, I got to use my brain for once, not just slinging brakes and control arms or stab links or oil changes and whatnot.
Did you get to road test it?
No. We pushed it out because he hadn't bled the clutch out. I didn't know if the tranny had any fluid in it. He had just literally stuck it in there, then it wouldn't start. Then he works from like 4:00 in the afternoon to 1:30 in the morning. So he didn't have time for that. So.
That's not bad. At least it's something that, they didn't come to you, I don't think, with like, oh, we want it done for an hour. You know what I mean? Like,
that was pretty fair with you. No, that was the 2 days before that CX-9. I think you had posted up the picture of the cable ends that were twisted together with the side post. One like pretty well twisted on there like a Moret. That guy came to us with I don't want anything else looked at except this. I got a guy for everything. Well, you're I got another guy for the other stuff. I don't trust the dealerships. You've been yada yada yada. The spiel.
Oh yeah,
Except
yeah, yeah.
except his other guy, he gladly paid to cobble that shit in. So
Right.
that was joyous. Fix those and find the blown fuse for the cluster. He's like, ever since I put this battery in, it
Oh
was a security issue, but the cluster fuse was blown, and there was an engine fuse for the PCM that was
yeah,
missing completely, like left
yeah,
the vehicle. So someone took
yeah,
it out at some point or sabotaged it or
yeah.
something. I don't know. Anyhow, that was a fun week.
Yeah. I s- I saw that. Saw that post. Now I know what you're thinking of. It. I made that comment of like, oh yeah, I used to, because I think people think I was joking, but I used to keep like a photo album of like a photo album on my phone, not a photo album like grandma had,
Yeah,
of stuff that you take pictures of, like the other my
yeah,
guy's shop would send it, would wind up in the dealership. And I can still remember them. Some of them. One that got immediately popped in my head was there was a caravan that had harness issues. I know it's a caravan, and the rad fan wouldn't work, and they broke down somewhere up in Quebec, northern Quebec somewhere, and the guy took an extension cord, cut the middle out of it, took two ends, wired the one end to the battery, the other end to the two power wires for the fan, and he left it. He thought he was smart, Tabernac. He left it hanging through the bumper. So when you would just go out to it in the morning and you would plug it in, and the fan would run all the time. And then when you parked it, you just unplug the extension cord because Tabernacle would run your battery down.
yeah.
And I can still remember, I can picture it in my head, the people coming around to my bay when we drove in and everybody looking at it going, what the hell? And then all you have to just kind of say is like, yeah, northern Quebec. Good on them. They broke down and they got them back on the road. Right. That's kind of the
Yeah,
attitude I had to take. But I was like, there was a lot of wiring damage that had to be fixed. And those caravans had a lot of harness issues right near where they would rub on the solenoid pack and rot out and
yeah,
stuff. And so they were always a problem there. But I remember that van had a multitude of other problems after we fixed that and got it came back with more and more codes, and it was like,
yeah. It's a good roadside repair, but a temporary repair.
yeah, for sure. And then, they were always like, I think back to so many of them and how many I fixed that harness in different spots. And, you say the same thing, like guys take a razor knife and go down the harness, and like, I don't do that. I learned very early on because you would get that harness back and you'd open it up and it was little spot of green, little spot of green, little spot of green. Like everywhere that razor blade nicked that harness,
Yeah,
that's not self-healing probe, it's junk.
no,
And more of those vans, I probably should have just chucked harnesses in way back when to do it right, but there was limited funds back then,
yeah,
without a warranty, nobody wanted to. Hard to get harness parts. Like it was, Chrysler was great about being able to get connectors. Their system was fantastic for connectors
yeah,
and the blow up, but trying to get a whole harness, like I never saw one come in faster than 6 weeks. Like it was
yeah.
crazy.
That's a good
Now I
thing.
go ahead. Sorry.
That's a good thing it seems about, or what I've encountered with the domestics. At least you can get a
Mhm.
connector, whereas with our
Yes.
cars, you can't get a connector. Get a whole flipping harness because
Yeah.
I've had to put two, two, two body harnesses in one car in the span of 1 week because of squirrels.
Oh.
And it happened a third time, but his insurance company was going to drop him if he had to
Yeah.
make a third. There's a 6,000 or almost probably a $6,000 claim each time.
Yeah.
They were going
Yeah.
to drop him for that because of squirrels
Yeah. Oh,
chewing chewing right
they're
through
in
the end
this.
of the connector, not even leaving 6 inches. Nothing. Not that you can put anything in between. You gotta.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's frustrating, isn't it? Like it just, and I can remember so many times I just needed one or two, and it was like, this is not in the dealership days, but after since, and you call up the wrecking yard, and they don't want to sell you they don't want to sell you the connector. And I'm thinking, you guys can't possibly tell me that these connectors are money makers, because every time like you get a transmission or something from them, they normally don't even unplug it; they cut it off. So go out there and I'll pay you. Hell, I'll give you $70, $80 for one connector. Just take it as if you cut it off, and. But no, they didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. And I like nobody I think goes to a junkyard and tries to buy a whole harness. And and their guys
Uh,
now, I can remember kicking around the yards when I was a kid, and you could walk out and it's like, oh, I need a speed sensor for the K car. You can walk
mhm.
out there and like cut it off and give the guy $5 and see you later. Like now, no, they don't even want you back there, and everything is. I just look at it and it's like, dude, you're missing so much more money. Like I watch Eric Owen, he's lucky. He just did a video I saw and walked out and it's like he can go right to his local yard 2 minutes down the road from him, goes in the back, takes a toolkit, pulls an intake off. He's pulling like injectors from some kind of Equinox customer used car
Oh,
special.
yeah,
That
that was
one.
the 3.4
Yeah,
on the
right.
Wilburs.
Yes, and so they've got 6 eBay
Yeah.
injectors in it, running terrible. An eBay mass airflow, and he's like, "Oh, the injectors are shot." And he goes and pulls them at Wilbur's for probably $50, right? And it's just like, I mean, there isn't a yard around here anymore, my local area, that will let you go back and cut off what you needed, right? So
Yeah, I
if
don't
you're
think we've got
lucky.
them much around here. No more pick and pulls. I mean, if you go to the city, you can go into some of the
Mhm.
bigger pick and pulls, and I think Peterborough has some. But we used
Yeah,
to do that all the time. That's how we got our
yeah,
old shitbox Hondas
that's
running.
right.
We'd go there and
Yeah, yeah,
grab a
I
pocket
know.
full of sensors, and away you go.
And I remember seeing after I moved home from Ottawa, the one yard that was really big got bought out by somebody else, and they advertised like one Saturday a month. They were doing that thing, you could whatever you could haul out there for
Yeah.
$100, and guys throw an engine on a hood and drag it out, that kind of thing. And I got thinking, like, God, I moved home at the wrong time. So, because there's probably some sweet Jeep parts back then you could have got. So, but
It's great, but you go in, cut a seatbelt out of the car, you wrap it around an
mhm,
axle, and you throw it over your shoulders and
yeah, you
walk
get
out
a
like a
hernia.
Sherpa. Yeah,
Yeah,
walk out like a Sherpa, and away you go.
you get a hernia and save yourself $300. Yeah. Um, I miss those days. I really do. When this industry was like, I don't. I guess when I was younger, that was just part of the fun. So when I saw that thing with the race car, I was thinking that'd be cool. Just to have something different. You know, I mean, and not pressured. Like that's the whole thing that always killed it for me is the pressure. The pressure of having to fix it in a certain amount of time for a certain amount of money.
Yeah,
That's what I love about this job is that he doesn't really get that way at all. Like we're tracking our time, we're tracking our production, our efficiency, but I mean, it's like he doesn't. If he bills a customer an hour and in 90 minutes you come to them with the answer, you're not punished because it took 90 minutes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if
So it's
anything, they should have probably need to be upping their initial inspection rates.
yeah,
But it's we're walking a fine line because our door rate's higher than like the 4 other shops that are around us. We're higher than they are. So it's a situation of, people are looking and go, wow, you guys cost a lot of money. So then some of our labor and our inspection times, we're backing down on the time to keep the prices more comparable, which
yeah.
you know how that works. It doesn't work.
Yeah, not
But,
really. If
you
people
know,
are going to come to you, they're going to keep coming to you because
yeah.
of the quality and the service, and
hmm Yeah. So
that's
what
it.
do
But
you got? What do you got waiting for you when you go back on Tuesday?
well, we'll see if we can price out a transmission for that one lady. And I looked at a bunch of safeties at the end of this week because I've somehow managed to get caught up on work. Usually,
Oh,
I've got a stack of work orders that you know
yeah.
I'm 6 deep on that I'm. Well,
Uh-huh.
when you get time, let's get this in. Then customer work goes pear shaped, or they can't help but
Yeah.
sell literally everything. So we
hmm
so then we're getting behind. So
Yeah.
it's not been it's not been too bad lately because we're pretty well at the end of tire season because
Yes.
we started March nice and early, get the early birds in and try and stretch out because we learned several years ago to stretch it out as far as possible because we were
Uh-huh.
getting 3 cars deep parked out back or stacked, and
Yeah.
you can't sell any work and you're having to get them back. Well,
Yeah.
if we limit our appointments down, we can actually get the work done, or if need be, get some internal work done and
Yeah.
through get some safeties and PDIs through.
That was our fall tire season was very much like that. We it seemed to be a timing thing and we just got slammed. So we barely had enough time to inspect the cars, barely enough time to prep the estimates for the other work. And at the end of the day, you're like, holy crap, like we're just existing to do tires, right? And that's
Yeah.
tough on everybody's mental game, because it's just like, first of all, for what they pay a licensed tech on some jobs, like a tire job, there's not a whole lot of fat left there. Like it
No.
doesn't make much sense. And then, but it's been better this time, because what a lot of what we recommended in the fall, a lot of our customer base now, when they come back to get their tires taken off, we're getting those jobs now, which is good.
Yeah.
And it's spreading it out a little more, which is nice,
Yeah.
because
Get the future cells in there. Like
yeah.
you don't need this now, but we'll need this by then. And
Mm-hmm.
quote them, you can price them. They know at least what to expect. They can save their pennies. And
Yeah, they can budget for 3 months later, right? That's better than sometimes showing them something and it's like, it needs, like, it really shouldn't drive out of here. That's a tough call, right? Like, it's so hard to. And then you got the new safety regs that are coming out here. You done anything about that? Are you seen that? The new,
not yet. No, we
yeah.
only just got the old books back in stock that we've been out of for 6 months or
Yeah.
more.
Well, and that's it. And then so we ran out of books, right? So people are listening down in the States, there's a safety book that you have to fill out that documents your inspections up here for when you do a used car safety. That'll also be documented by the government, tracked in the whole thing. And the government supplies you with the books. Well, they stopped printing them probably last year, or stopped printing maybe during COVID and inventory ran out. Who knows? And then they're rolling out a new program that they're talking about up here, which is going to be hooked up the way Drive Clean used to be done, where I think you're just going to like shoot the VIN number with a camera, and then you kind of have to actually have the camera as you do the inspection on the car, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I think so. I thought they were working that into more of the heavy duty stuff or starting
yeah,
the drive on system, I think
yeah,
it's called. But I think the problem with our old style books and whatnot is they started the idea of this new system
mm-hmm.
and moved everyone that worked at the old one to the new one,
Yes, yeah,
and didn't have anyone to take care of the old one that they still needed to take care of.
yeah.
But it's government, so I mean that was to be expected.
Yeah, the Ontario government's not doesn't have a stellar record for smooth transitions. That's the rumor that I've heard coming down the pipe, is that it's going to be very much like Drive Clean. You're going to have like a camera on you, and as you're inspecting the vehicle, the camera's running the whole time, right? Just like
Yeah,
Drive Clean used to be, where it's like they're watching the vehicle on the dyno to make sure that it is the one that you say it is. And then, because this is the same thing, like now with free license plate renewals, everybody in Ontario is like, yay, I don't have to pay for that. But let's be real. They're going to go and get the money somewhere else.
yeah.
That's just a given. They got to generate that tax dollar somewhere. So it'll be the new inspections, which I'm excited if it means that we get some of this junk off the road. If we finally come to a like every other year mandatory safety inspection, if it starts to get some of this crap off the road that they told us that Drive Clean would do, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, that'd
Like,
be handy because the amount of cars even to see, you've been telling the person for a year and a half, you need brakes, you need your front end's falling apart, or you got three wheels that are almost Bluetooth. Like, I I don't care where you get it fixed.
yeah,
I'm telling you to do this for the love of Christ. Get it fixed somewhere before you kill me coming the other direction with my kids in the car.
yeah, yeah.
I'm being selfish in this. Don't kill me.
That's right.
Just,
I had an '03 Sierra, Silverado Sierra, come in, and right out in front of where I live is called Amherst Island, which is in Lake Ontario. And Amherst Island's not a little island; it's a pretty big island, it's several kilometers. I don't know what's the population on the island, but so no paved roads.
yeah.
And this guy brings in his '04 Silverado for an inspection and oil change and whatnot. And I've got pictures on my phone. The mud that was caked on the bottom of this thing was like over a foot thick on anywhere. Like it looked like it had been in a mine shaft somewhere with the kind of that clay mud that stuck all over everything. And he was like, so he was getting new tires, or getting his tires changed over, excuse me. And he's like, could you check the spare? I'm like, yeah, it's flat. The rim of it is so rotten that and then of course you can see it's the original 2004 circa tire so cracked there's no air in it. It's like, yeah, you need a rim and tire for your spare, and you probably need a carrier because there's no way.
How's it going, man? Fuck.
There's no way that'll wind down.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, it's like, well, let's try it anyway. So we sprayed a bunch of penetrating fluid on there, and he came back a week later. It wouldn't wind down. We cut it out with a torch. Then we give him an estimate for the new tire carrier. He's like, I'll just throw it in the back. I just use this thing to go to the dump. And it's like, yeah. So it had at least he put brakes on it because they were shot. There was a wheel bearing falling out of it. Like, it was typical 2004 Chevy truck, rough. But some of the dirt, the mud, I think is keeping the rust from coming through. So,
it's like Foster Paris. It's it's like a mud pack.
It literally looked like that, like spray foam insulation or something. And I mean, the fuel pump still works because I mean, that thing, when it comes to where it's going to need a fuel pump, I hope they retire that truck because it's going to be rotten.
It's probably so sealed in there right now, no air can get to it, so it can't rot.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule.
What are you seeing are you seeing different trends in repairs this year versus last year, or?
How do you mean? Or just like certain items we're seeing more of this year?
Yeah.
Or
like what's some of the high movers at the Mazda dealer right now? Like, really moving a lot.
Typical, like we've been doing the last few years, a lot of rear springs, a lot of rear shock mounts, because the shock mounts are aluminum. So they just rot right out or crumble.
Yeah.
At least there are some steel aftermarket ones we can use, which are good rather than replacing the entire shock. Because if you're replacing the whole shock, a lot of times you can't air hammer the bottom off the pin it sits in because it's just rotting on there. So you're spending half an hour with the cutoff wheel sawing through it. And a lot of fuel pump bodies, because like the Chevys, like the top ring. I think I posted a video that you might have seen. It's on my Facebook of me hammering that one out.
Yes.
You get the usually people will find that when they fill up the tank and it starts spilling out down the side, or they get an evap of an 0442 evap small leak. Because the top of the fuel pump body just starts cracking because the ring gets rusty, presses down on it and cracks it. So
mine, I did a Chevy truck probably in 08, I think, about a month ago. And same thing, that ring was seized. Like, I had cut it with a cutoff wheel and then pry it out in pieces to get the fuel pump out of the top of the tank. Like, it was just, I'd never seen something like that in my life. And people were like, oh, you just hit it with an air hammer. No, tried that. And I went to the boss. I said, we might have to buy a tank for this one. He's like, God, I hope not. A tank's like $1,000. I'm like, I'll do what I can do. Just, keep a fire extinguisher handy. And I'm going to get over there with a whiz wheel and cut it into pieces and take it out. But we had a fire scare. Actually, it was funny. We had a 1984 G30 motorhome come in. There's a backstory to this. Another shop that was actually going out of business had done an inspection for her and said it needs X, Y, and Z. Had a wheel seal leaking, so it's a big dual wheels floating rear axle, and hub seal, bearing seals leaking. So I go and do the hub seal, do it, spray it all down. And I'm waiting. I've got it all apart. I'm waiting for the seal to come in. And the other tech, they put me on a different job. And the other tech, he's going to do the exhaust. So there's a bucket sitting under the hub that had caught some oil and some of the brake clean. And I don't think he clued into what happened. But he, of course, lights up with the torch and goes to cut the exhaust off. And I can see it right from watching in the other bay. The torch land in the, and I told him, be careful. Like And the torch landed in the oil bucket and whoosh, right? The brake flew. So I run over and grab the thing and throw it out the bay door. And as it's going out the bay door, I'm grabbing the, because I don't want to catch that car on fire. I don't want to catch our Hunter alignment or tire balancer on fire. So it's like I'm kicking it out the bay door, and he's running behind me with a fire extinguisher to spray it. So yeah, it was funny. So yeah, I mean, that might have been the best thing to happen for that 1984 motorhome if it caught on fire. But
Yeah.
I'd rather always cars catch on fire in the parking lot, not inside the shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been doing a lot more of those fuel pump. I gotten good at getting those out because it's got,
Mhm.
8 JIS screws on there that we were at one point when we first started this putting tanks in because we couldn't get
Yeah.
those
Screws
screws
out.
out. But then I went to training and was talking with another tech at lunch. He was like, "No, just try this," and gave me some tips on how to get that. Where I was like, "Oh," then the first one came straight out. So
Mhm.
so now it's a $600 repair, not a
Yeah.
$1,500-$1,600 repair.
Nice. Good. I know. I remember I used to do the fuel tank levels on senders and whatnot on top of the old, like the diesel trucks on like an international or whatever, where they're right by the front steps, right on either side, those saddle tanks. And yeah, those stupid machine screws that hold them in. There's a lot of them that I you know hit them with the top of the air hammer, right, and like peen them off, free them up. There's a lot of them though that was just like, we ended up having to put the tank in because you could not
Yeah.
get the screws out, right? Like it was just, shitty design, terrible. But yeah, Rust is a fantastic thing. We're doing somebody posted about in another group. I don't know if you saw it, and it was the big. Oh, we had a caravan in, and we did all these parts on the estimate or whatever. And somebody said they had a quote for injectors and a quote for this and that. All
No, yeah.
well, and the one person said, "Well, I've never changed an injector in a Chrysler in years, right?" And I used to say that, and then I've been watching, and a lot of the Penistars are coming in, and they need injectors. And I had a customer with one, and it didn't have misfires. It had a fuel trim imbalance fault for one bank, and it was very intermittent, wouldn't happen all the time. And I went through and I finally road tested for like 45 minutes, and I just graphed the injector on time of that bank, those three on that bank. And you could see that one was consistently always using more fuel, adding more fuel than another. And I'm talking like less than 10%, but like 6 to 8% more injector on time on one injector versus the other. But never a corresponding misfire, never had a misfire fault, nothing. And talked to different people. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing injectors and those. And again, you talk to the other guys that work at it, they're like, oh, I fixed one of them with a cam once. And I'm like, no, that's maybe you did, but you must have misfires. I don't have misfires. So like, I'm not going down that road. I did it passed an RC test, like a relative fresh and everything. So we put the back three in. We gave the option of doing 6. She did the back 3 on that bank because that's the only one it was coded for, and it fixed it. It's been good since. And so it made me laugh when he said, yeah, because same thing. All my years at the dealer at Chrysler, I put in less than 5 injectors
Yeah.
the whole time I was there on the old stuff. But those Penistars, the injectors are a pretty big mover. They're doing a lot of them. So it's a good job. Pays great. 3.6 I love. That's such an awesome engine to work on. It pays so good. Oil coolers now, you do them with your eyes shut. We've done so many, right? And
Yeah.
my own Jeep needs one, and I'm holding off on doing it because it's like I want to buy the Dorman aluminum body one and put it in, but it's like $600, right? By the time I buy it and do it, and I'm like, it's only. I know it's there because I can smell it. It's not wet, but it's on a long drive when it gets hot. It's opening up a little bit, and I can smell the coolant coming out of it. So, but yeah. So, what else are you into?
Oh, well, it's Miata season. Now that it's spring, the tire season is done. All the Miatas have sprung out, so we'll be getting them in ready for their 1,000 kilometers over the next a few months, and then go back into storage.
What are those customers like?
They're not actually too bad. Some of them are a little on the fussier side, especially with the newer ones.
Yeah.
But all in all, not too bad. Especially the ones that have the older Miatas, like 88, the 89s up until like an 02 or 04 or whatever that body style is, the NBs.
Yeah.
The ones that still have the timing belt.
Yeah.
Remaining those. Love working on those things. But they get now some of them are getting so many oil leaks. We've been doing a few engine removal, like the oil pan's leak and the top end's leak, and we're like, we'll just pull the engine out, all new gaskets.
Yeah, yeah.
All the Boltiani stuff, all those new gaskets, slap it back in so you have a nice, clean driveway, no dripping oil everywhere. And
that's Christopher Johnson on this week's episode of the Jaded Mechanic Podcast with Jeff Compton. Put a pin in their conversation today. Next week, though, we'll wrap it up. Be sure to listen then.
Hey, if you could do me a favor real quick and comment on, and share this episode, I'd really appreciate it. And please, most importantly, set the podcast to automatically download every Tuesday morning. As always, I'd like to thank our amazing guests for their perspectives and expertise, and I hope that you'll please join us again next week on this journey of change. Thank you to my partners in the ASA group and to the Changing the Industry podcast. Remember what I always say, in this industry, you get what you pay for. Here's hoping everyone finds their missing 10 millimeter, and we'll see you all again next time.